So, welcome everybody. I'm really excited about this opportunity to talk about building confidence and self-esteem. Over the years, I've worked with people and I've helped guide people to step into their power. And today we're going to explore how you can do just that by building confidence and self-esteem. So this webinar is all about providing you with practical tools to elevate your confidence and shift your mindset so that you can cultivate a deeper sense of self-worth. Whether you're looking to grow personally or professionally, the key lies in unlocking your inner strength, and we'll cover exactly how you can do that in today's session. So let's first ask the question, why is confidence and self-esteem so important? Why do they matter? So confidence is your belief in your abilities, and self-esteem is your self-worth, how much worth you have on what you offer. And both are foundational to personal and professional growth. Without them, it's easy to stay stuck and you miss opportunities, you don't want to explore new things, and you feel like you're just not enough. And it ties so nicely back to the first webinar that I did 2 weeks ago on limiting beliefs. So if you haven't watched that replay yet, I would encourage you to do that. So if you work on your confidence and your self-esteem, then you give yourself the confidence to unlock new opportunities and to explore new things. And as a result, you will grow as a person. So today, here's a list of the quick topics that we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the roots. What is the root cause of low confidence and self-esteem? And then we're going to see how can we silence the inner critic to stop self-sabotaging. The third thing we're going to look at is some practical tips on building lasting confidence. And then we're going to look at mindset shifts to unlock your inner strength. The last thing we'll look at is how we can boost self-esteem in everyday life. So let's get cracking. Ooh, I keep scrolling the wrong way. Sorry, guys. Okay, so understanding the root causes of self-esteem, low self-esteem and confidence is really, really important because the roots support the rest of the system. And if you can get to the bottom of why things are happening, then it's easier to tackle them head on. Okay. So I touched on the difference between confidence and self-esteem earlier. The first thing to realize is that confidence and self-esteem are two completely different things, but they're very, very tightly interlinked. So your confidence is your belief in your ability to succeed. So you will be more confident when you face situations that you've got experience in, you've got the knowledge. But if you face something new, you won't be as confident because you're not sure whether you can succeed in that area, right? Whereas self-esteem is how much value you place on yourself. So what do you think about the value that you bring to the table? The two have to work together because if you have low confidence, then your self-esteem takes a knock. And if you have low self-esteem, it's very difficult to be confident. So, okay, here are the common causes, and I'm sure that some of these will sound very familiar to you. The first is past experiences. So, past experiences will influence how confident you are and particularly your self-esteem. So, if something happened in the past, like you tried to do something new. Let's take an example. You wanting to leave your 9-to-5 job and start your own business. And in the past, maybe 15, 20 years ago, you actually started your own business. but you failed. So now, 20 years later, although your circumstances are different and you've got more experience and you're more confident, you will look back at the past experience and think, okay, maybe I'm not going to succeed this time again, so you won't even give it a try. So that's an example of a past experience. Then the second thing that gives your self-esteem and your confidence a knock is criticism from external sources. So if your parents have told you your whole life that you're a very artistic person, you draw beautiful sketches and things, but there's no way that you can be successful as an artist because it's not a career. That's, nobody makes money from being an artist. Then you are going to believe that your talent that you've got is not worth much. So that's criticism from external sources. The third thing is failure, and the failure results in self-doubt. So the one thing that I've been thinking about a lot is that, as a child, you're conditioned that failure is not acceptable. So for instance, if you fail a test or fail exam, that's unacceptable, completely unacceptable. So you move into your adult life where failure isn't such a disaster, but because you've got this programming that failure is the worst thing on this planet, you think you're scared to try something new, or if you failed with something in the past, you don't want to go there again because failure is unacceptable. So one of the things that they teach us with NLP when we qualify is there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. And it's important to actually think, wow, let's think about that. Let's unpack that. Because when you do something and you fail at it, what you've done is you've discovered ways that it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that you'll never succeed. Most people who are hugely successful, in fact, all of them, have failed more times than we could ever imagine. But they've picked themselves up and they've just tried again and they've tried something different. So failure is one of the things that really do cause a lot of confidence and self-esteem issues. Then societal pressures and expectations. Sure. So you're 30 years old and you should already have your degree and be successful and have this amazing job and start buying your own house. And you should be thinking in a steady relationship and. People get so caught up in how you should act, how you should behave. And if you're not quite living up to society's expectations, I mean, the beauty industry is an absolutely great example if you think about it. Women have to wear makeup before you step out of the house. Otherwise, it's totally unacceptable. You have to wear the makeup, you have to have your hair done, you have to do your nails. So there's the societal expectation that if as a woman you decide you don't want to wear makeup today and you just go out there, then everybody thinks, oh, you don't look after yourself. You don't really care about yourself. But it's not that. You're embracing yourself for who you are. So society does pressurize us and try to put us into boxes. And that can affect your self-esteem and your confidence if you're not quite fitting in to that box. Then unrealistic expectations. Whew, this is a big one. I tend to do this one. So you can have an expectation, unrealistic expectations of yourself, what you expect yourself to do or to perform or whatever. And society does that too, and your family. I mean, going back to the artist example, because your your dad was a doctor and his dad was a doctor, you need to be a doctor, and you're an artist. You don't think like a doctor. Now suddenly you've got to study and become a doctor. And, how many people do you know that has studied a degree and got an amazing qualification and never used it? They just went out and did something else with their life. That's unrealistic expectations. Then fears. So fears are very closely linked to the failure. Fear of failure, that's an obvious one. But fear of success is very common because, once you succeed, then what? You've got to keep that, you've got to maintain that level of success. And then the expectations and the, societal pressures all come in. So it's all nicely intertwined here. And the last thing is negative self-talk. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about negative self-talk because this is a big, big, big one. There's that little guy that lives in your head and he's chipping away all the time. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough experience, blah, 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 blah. If you listened to my limiting beliefs webinar, then you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. But that is a killer for confidence and self-esteem. Okay, let's see. Right, so how to identify if you're falling into the trap of these causes of low confidence and self-esteem. So the things that you need to look out for are, firstly, the minute you start doubting yourself, you need to say, hey, I'm doubting myself. Is this actually true? The second thing is if you're avoiding opportunities. So I've seen it a number of times. I've done it myself, where you have this amazing opportunity. You've wanted it all your life. So an example is there's a promotion at work available, and you've always wanted to do that job. You know you can do the job. You know you have the experience. You know that, it's something that you deserve. But when that job's available, you don't apply for it. Why? Because that little guy is talking to you and saying, hey, the powers that be that make the decision will never think that you're the best fit for the job because Joe Soap that sits over there is better than you. So you avoid the opportunity. And that is self-sabotaging behavior. The other thing is striving for perfection. And I know a few people who do this. I'm not that good. I used to do it in the past, and I've tried my best to avoid perfection because perfection is actually just a way to avoid something completely. It's a stalling tactic. We will never be perfect. We're human. So it's impossible to be perfect. And a lot of people use that as an excuse or a reason to validate why they don't actually finish something. And procrastination is another thing. So if you catch yourself doubting yourself, avoiding opportunities, striving for perfection, or procrastinating, you know that you're falling into that trap of low self-esteem and low confidence. You're creating a little recipe for that in your life, and you need to stop it in its tracks so that it doesn't sabotage you. So how do we silence this inner critic and self-sabotage? We have also a recipe for that on how you can do that, and it is going to require some work. But let's have a look at that. Oh, I'm going the wrong way again, sorry. The first thing is that you need to identify your inner critic. You need to become aware of that little guy that lives in your head and catch yourself every time you're saying, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough. Instead of allowing that to happen, stop it. Become aware of it, stop it in its tracks. Then challenge those negative thoughts. Is it really true? Think about it. Hey, I'm saying this to myself. I'm telling myself I'm not good enough and that I'll never get this job. But is it really true? No, it's not true. So if it's not true, apply for the job. What have you got to lose if you don't get it? You've got nothing to lose. You'll still be in the same place you are today. But if you want an opportunity to be able to get that job, you have to apply because you could get it. And then you could be in your dream job that you've always wanted. So challenge those negative thoughts. Also, start recognizing self-sabotaging patterns. So those ones that I listed on the previous slide, look out for them and start becoming aware of them. And the minute you catch yourself, you say, hey, this is not good. Let me try something else. The last thing is to reframe the negative self-talk. We went into this into quite detail in the limiting beliefs webinar, but pretty much instead of saying, I don't have enough experience, you can say, I may not have the experience I need right now, but I can learn and I'm willing to do what it takes to make it happen. So you see, you haven't actually lied to yourself by saying, hey, I've got all the experience I need. All you've done is you've changed it from saying, I don't have enough experience to I can create opportunities or I can learn so that I can get the experience that I need. Okay. Right. Now we're going to have a look at some practical tips to build lasting confidence. So I don't know if you saw one of my little videos that I made this last week, and it was all about your body language and your presence and how if you're not feeling confident, you can fool yourself into being confident just by making some small adjustments in your body language. And it's so true. So body language is one of the biggest things because your body language tells people around you whether you're confident or not and whether you feel that you have value. So sometimes you might feel a little bit unconfident, but if you put your shoulders back and you let them rest in their pockets, as I call it, lift your head up slightly, look nicely forward, look people in the eye, and stand tall, immediately, because it's a confident posture, it's called a power posture, and you feel more confident and you will actually be more confident. So it's almost like you're tricking yourself into being more confident. So that is one thing that you can do when you're feeling a little bit unconfident. Check your body language and see what does your body language say. If you're avoiding eye contact, if you're looking down instead of straight at someone or up in the sky, check it, stop yourself, and then put on a more confident pose. The other thing is small wins. So I jumped to body language because I got so excited about it. But I love the small wins approach. And the reason why this is so effective is every time you acknowledge something that you've accomplished, if it's a small thing even, you're reinforcing the message that you're actually capable. And that in turn affects your confidence, which in turn affects your self-esteem. So what I do is I like to acknowledge 3 small wins. Even if you've had a bad day, there's always something that you've accomplished. Start looking for them. And you'll see that Sarah popped two documents in the chat for us. The one is a gratitude journal worksheet, and on there, it's got a prompter to say, today I'm grateful for. And you can write on that sheet every day. You can print them out. I like to do one a day, but if you want to do one a week, it's entirely up to you. Start building a small habit of being grateful and acknowledging when you've accomplished something. It's so important. It will slowly stack up into something big. Then consistency is key. So once you start something, continue and then build a habit on a habit. And it doesn't take that much time. Take 5 minutes of your day at the end of the day and say, what was good about today? What am I grateful for today? What were my wins? What did I accomplish today that I'm proud of? It can be something small like I left 5 minutes earlier and missed the traffic just from 5 minutes, So look at those small wins, watch your body language, and be consistent. Let's have a look at some simple mindset shifts that you can take, little things that you can take to help unlock your inner strength, which will then give you the confidence and the self-esteem. It will help you build confidence and self-esteem. I'm not saying put a paper bag over your head. It reminds me of being an ostrich that digs his head in the ground when he's scared of something because he thinks if it can't see what the danger around him, is not in danger. I just like this picture because it's funny and it will stick in your memory. So let's look at these mindset shifts, which are also important. A growth versus a fixed mindset. Right. I'm sure that you know and you've heard about this over and over again, but it is extremely, extremely important because a growth mindset is being open to new ideas and opportunities. So earlier on, we discussed how when you've got low self-esteem and low confidence, you try to avoid opportunities, or sometimes you don't even notice them because you're so involved. Whereas when you have a growth mindset, any challenge that crosses your path, you interpret that and turn it into an opportunity. I see there's someone talking on the chat here. Is there anything? Okay. Nothing that I need to answer right away. Right. So a growth mindset sees challenges as opportunities, whereas a fixed mindset will see a challenge and think, whoa, I'm not going to. I've tried this before. I'm not going to try it again. Sorry for you. Embrace failures as learning opportunities. And we've touched on this earlier as well. There's no such thing as failure, only feedback. So when you've failed, all you've done is discovered a way that it doesn't work. Try something new, go for it again, pick yourself up. Affirmations and visualization. So affirmations, there's, a lot of people for affirmations and a lot of people against it. I believe that an affirmation needs to be something that is true to you. So I've heard people say, for instance, an affirmation is, I'm a millionaire. Are you actually a millionaire? No, you're not. You can't have an affirmation for something that you're not. For me, what a true affirmation is saying, I am capable, because you are capable. Reinforce that message to yourself. I am capable. I have the ability to learn. I have opportunities crossing my path and I'm going to embrace them. Those kind of affirmations, which are just encouraging messages from yourself to remind you of your own value that you offer. Visualization. I love the concept of visualization. I believe that in society today, we're very analytical and we've forgotten to imagine. Everything that's been created, every new concept that's been developed has been as a result of someone imagining something that has never existed before. So visualization is, for me, it's closing your eyes and imagining, okay, if I got this job that I really want, that's available, and I'm not sure if I'll get it, what will my life look like then? What will I do? Will I have that corner office? How will it feel for me to sit in that corner office? So you start making yourself excited about the opportunity because you can picture yourself going to work in the morning and you're doing new responsibilities and you've got a new office and you have new opportunities, etc., etc. So you start getting excited about it. And when you start getting excited about it, you start noticing the opportunities and the little things that come across your path to make that happen. And that's why I believe in visualization. It's not airy, flary, I'm going to imagine $1 million coming into my account. That's not visualization. Visualization is exactly how I've described. It's a real life situation that you want to achieve, and then you conceptualize it. Another very good example of that is people who want to lose weight. I've heard this so many times. Oh, I want to lose weight. Okay, so what does that mean? If you lose 1 gram or 1 kilogram, you've lost weight, right? Yes, technically speaking, you have. But you need to have a clear picture. Like you need to take that camera lens that's slightly blurry and put it nice and crystal into focus. I want to lose 15 kilograms and fit into a size 34 dress and wear that sexy dress I used to wear 2 years ago. And you can picture yourself walking in that dress and how it feels. And it feels good. So if you can feel how that feels, it gives you much more motivation to do the hard work to lose that weight. That's what visualization is. Okay. Ooh. Oh, I'm going the wrong way again. Okay, so strategies to boost your self-esteem daily. Firstly, set boundaries. This is a matter of self-respect. If you don't have the time, the capacity to do something, rather say no, because trying to do, and I did this, so I can talk from experience. I took too much on in my work. And as a result, I always said yes. Whenever someone needed help, I always said yes. I jumped in to help. And then I landed up being burnt out. And as a result, I could also not support my clients and give them the service that I normally would. So setting boundaries is important. It's a matter of self-respect, and you will also then not allow yourself to get into a position where you will fail when you would normally succeed in that same situation if you had the resources, etc. I hope that makes sense.
Garrett,
Yes,
so are you supposed to be presenting a slideshow?
yes.
It's not showing.
I see it on mine.
Oh, I'm not seeing it.
I'll share the replay with you. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
I'm seeing
Okay.
it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we can see
also
it.
see it.
Okay, then the second is we're talking about how you boost your self-esteem, which is your value you put on yourself and your role in life. So first thing is to set boundaries. The second is to surround yourself with positivity. Now, I'm not saying fool yourself that, being overly positive. There's a very careful balance between being unrealistically positive and realistically positive. So instead of automatically looking for the negative in something, look for the flip side of the coin. Look for the positive side. There's always a silver lining. So train yourself to look for the good in things. Like if you've had a bad day, train yourself to look for the good bits of that day. Write it in your little affirmation, your gratitude journal sheet that Sarah's shared on the chat. So once you start looking for the good and looking for the positive things in your life, you will become more positive, and that will result in you being more positive about yourself and what you offer to society. And then the last thing is celebrate your achievements. And I can't emphasize this more. Every time you accomplish something, I don't mean, be overly, going onto social media and making a big deal about it all the time, because that could look egotistical, but acknowledge your achievements, because as a person, you are accomplishing every single day. You're accomplishing every single day. You have opportunities to surprise yourself about your ability. Celebrate them, start noticing them. Okay, so wrap up and questions. We've covered the roots of confidence and self-esteem, what affects them. We've had a look at how to silence your inner critic. We've given you practical tips to build confidence, mindset shifts that you should be looking at every day, and daily strategies to boost your self-esteem. Do you have any questions or feedback? I'd appreciate it. Nothing?
Yeah, there was a slide of yours where you were just telling my story without me telling you my life story. If you go back a bit to the beginning, you listed a number of things that cause. Go back a bit.
Yeah.
Way back. Yeah, that's
This
slide,
one.
the one before this one. No, next one. Going forward. Go backwards now.
This
That
one.
That one there. Yeah, that one there. So, for example, I saw your post about the first seminar, and half my brain said I need this, but half my brain said, oh, can I really survive it? Because all of this is going on for me. I've never been a person who doubts themselves or lets an opportunity go, or procrastinates. But in the last 12 months, I think I've been doing this quite well, actually. But I think it's partly my fault, partly circumstances. When you start your own business, like you mentioned, people starting their own businesses and leaving work and that sort of thing. I've been 10 years, 12 years actually, no holiday, just trying to make this thing work.
Yeah.
And I think this is now the result of same thing day in, day out. You start to, you take on a lot of work, obviously, because no one's going to do it. But, the outcome is that after a while, you don't believe you doing the right thing, or this job's for you anymore.
Yeah.
People say, can you do this? And you say, well, I don't know if I still have the skill, or, if you're going to be satisfied with it. And with me, there's a bit of history because people have taken advantage of the service I give. And I've always had money disputes with clients and big corporations that I cannot sue back. So after a while, you fall into these four things.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So I could relate with this slide.
I'm glad you could relate, but I'm also, I think the most important thing is that you've identified it. because that's the
Mm-hmm.
first step in actually doing something about it. You can't do something about something if you don't know it exists, you know. So
Yeah.
you've recognized that you have these challenges, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's a matter of deciding what are the next steps to start working on getting you out of that pattern, that negative pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And it is possible. You've also highlighted the boundaries. You know, boundaries are so important. I've always struggled with setting boundaries. You know, I've always thought that if I'm available to help people all the time, they will
Mm-hmm.
recognize my worth. But there
Yeah.
is exactly, it's the whole crux of the matter is your lack of self-worth is
Mm-hmm.
driving you to take on too much
Yeah.
because you're trying to prove your self-worth, but you don't have anything to prove because you have worth. So
Mm-hmm.
it is very interesting. It's all very tightly linked. But thank you for
Yeah.
sharing
Yeah.
that story.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Okay, so let's see if we can get back to the end. Any other questions or feedback? All right, so I do have those two gifts. So you'll see you can download, they are in the chat. You can download the two documents. The one is a gratitude journal worksheet. So it's one page that you can print out and you can fill in every day. I like writing with a pen. I prefer it to working with digital copies. I don't know if it's because I'm old school, but I do believe that there's psychology behind actually writing with a pen. And if you start a practice of writing and looking for the positive things, which is what a gratitude journal is all about, then you'll see a definite shift in your mindset and in your confidence and self-esteem, because you'll start seeing that good things are actually around. The second document is a growth mindset cheat sheet, which I really like as well, because it shows you how to reframe, your negative thoughts, how to reframe them into positive thoughts and beliefs. So please take those two. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email with these slides so that you can keep them. And if you haven't been able to download those two documents, I'll also attach that to the email. Then the last thing I wanted to let you know is my next webinar in 2 weeks' time is on time management. Master your time, master your life, and some time management strategies for success. So if you're available and you'd like to learn a little bit about time management, this was a big thing for me because I was a conference and events project manager. It's one of the most stressful jobs. You can go and research it if you want to. It was classified as like the top 10 most stressful jobs in the world. And time management is always such a critical thing. And since COVID, I've picked up that a lot of people are in a similar position, even though they're not in the same industry that I was working in, especially like in pharmaceutical companies and corporates. A lot of people were working extra hours and really struggling with their workload. And so I've got a bit of a soft spot for time management and for helping people to create, ways of managing their time better. Because the bottom line is everybody's got the same amount of time. Time moves on, and it's all about how you're using the time that makes a difference. People say, I don't have enough time. Well, you don't really have time. Everybody has the same amount of time. So it's what you're doing with that time that makes a big difference. So if you'd like, I'm going to open registrations tomorrow. Look out for my posts and join us. If you can't join live, that's okay. there will always be the replay as well. Okay, so any other questions or thoughts? I want to thank everybody for joining. Laura, I see you here. And Sonia, hello. Thanks for joining.
Hi,
Okay.
sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great seeing you. Thank you so much
I'm
for joining.
absolutely sorry I didn't have my camera on. I'm not like photo ready, but it was on for just a little bit, and I'm like, oops.
Well, thank you. I know it's still quite early there. What is the time?
It's lunchtime, so I'm just kind
Oh,
of
okay.
working from home, so in between my lunch hour.
Okay.
Yeah, this has been amazing class. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Totally needed.
I'm glad you
Uh,
enjoyed it.